All right, whenever you're talking about states of matter, temperature change is the key. And let's look at that. So in a previous experiment, we looked at using salt as a catalyst to make ice get colder very quickly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can make a piece of thread pick up an ice cube with just touching the sides of the thread and not our hands touching the ice cube itself. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a piece of thread and we're going to cut it. Okay, and we're going to get an ice cube. And we're going to put the ice cube, I'm going to put it in a little bowl so that it doesn't go all over the place on me. And I'm going to use some table salt for this one. You can use any type of salt, but I find table salt works just fine. And I'm going to lay the thread down onto the ice cube so that it's at the top of the ice cube. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some salt on the top of it. Okay, just a little bit of salt. Just make sure it's right on the thread. And I'm going to let it just sit. Okay, so we remember from before that the salt is a catalyst. The salt is now melting that ice cube very quickly and it's refreezing very quickly. And so when the ice is refreezing, what happens is the thread now will be melted down into the ice cube and then it's refrozen over the top of the thread. So what will happen is the thread is now inside the ice cube and we will be able to pick it up with just using the sides of the piece of thread. Okay, you can also notice by looking at the ice that it's changing very differently than if you just had an ice cube sitting there. So if I have an ice cube, I'll put an ice cube right here in another bowl. Oops. And we'll watch, see the difference between the two ice cubes, okay? So this ice cube is getting a lot of different holes in it from the melting, and now it's melting and refreezing. And this one is not. Okay, I'm not sure if this is ready yet. Test it. Let's see, it's almost ready. Oh, not quite. So I'm going to put a little bit more salt on that and see if I can get it to melt right into the ice cube. Okay, and this one takes some patience. So when you do this one, if it doesn't work, try again. And that's what a good scientist does, is they try their experiment several times to see if they get the same results or different results. Okay, so we're gonna let that one sit and you'll see this one's melting also, but not as quickly as well, that one was smaller when it started. But this one's melting differently. You can see that it's still a pretty solid piece of ice, where this one's breaking up and getting brittle. And unfortunately I have water collecting in there, which won't help me when I go to lift it up because it will drag it. So I'm going to pour a little bit of the water out. And let's see if we can pick it up. No, still not ready. Okay, when you go to do this experiment, you might want to try it a couple of different ways. So the first time I tried it with a little bit of salt. This time I'm going to try more salt that I've poured in it. And you can see that you can actually watch it melt very, very quickly. And what's happening is that thread is actually melting down into the ice and the ice is refreezing over the top of the thread. So I'll let that sit for a second. And then I'm going to pour off some of the water that's underneath it. And the reason why I'm doing that is so that the water, when I go to lift up the ice cube, won't drag or pull due to surface tension, won't pull below, so it will make my my thread pull off. So I'm going to go ahead and pour out the water and see if we can lift it. Oh, still not. Okay, I got it to lift just a little bit and then it wants to pull back down. So I would suggest you try this a couple of times and let it sit for a while and pour enough salt on it so that you see that it melts.